Shalom Aleichem everybody. Today we like to learn about the halacha of ribua in tefillin. Tefillin had to be completely square. As it says in the Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Lamed Bet, Seif Lametet, tefillin, בין של ראש, בין של יד, הלכה למשה מסיני, שיהיו מרובעות בתופרן ובאלכסונן. They need to be square in both places. בתופרן, the sewing that comes around the bite. Well, let's show one that is already sewn. This is the sewing over here. You can see the sewing of the gidim that go around. Must be completely square. So much so that over here you see in the corners, some say that the holes here must be very narrow. Otherwise, if they are wide, so one thread would come up to here and the other one up to here, since the hole would be long and big, wide. So therefore, it's a lack of the ribua. That's betofran. That's important to know because many times sofer that's only a beginner doesn't do the tfirot very tightly, rather very loosely, and sometimes they'll be shaky and you'll see that it loses out from the ribua. Now, this is betofran. Uva alachsonan, which means they must be square also on the batim themselves in various places. The top, this is called ktsitsa, the bite itself, whether it's the yad, which this is the yad, the hand, or the rosh, the head, which has 4 compartments and the shinim on the sides. The ktsitsa, the top, has to be square. Not only that, the titura. The titura is this part that closes on the bite. As you can see here, it closes. Must be completely square. Where? The bottom and the top. The Mishnah Berurah brings this down, and he says that the ribua should be moshavan hu titura, where the moshav, the base is, that's the titura, this part that I just explained. And haynu she'achtocha ma'abarta mishne tzedadav. You have to cut from here. You see this? Why is this cut like this? To show and demonstrate that this is where the ribua, this is where the square goes. Otherwise, if this would be straight like that, it would be lacking a ribua because this side would be longer than that side. By the way, this is over here is a ma'abarta. A ma'abarta that the retzuot, the straps, go inside, does not have to have a ribua, and therefore this could be done however one wishes. So here we go. We have over here the din that he says, and he says, the Mishnah Berurah, atitura, the bottom, צריכה להיות מרובה בין למעלה ובין למטה, which means it needs to be square on top of the ribua elyon on top here, and titura tachton on the bottom here. Okay? Now, this is why we're going to demonstrate a few of the problems, and one needs to understand that going into this is extremely important, because if you buy tefillin from a person that you don't know is reliable, all kind of issues could be inside your tefillin. You'll never know. Maybe you'll know when you check them. Maybe even then you won't know, because the batimacher would not be able to see them and inform you. So therefore, it's important to know where you're buying your batim from, and to make sure that the person that's giving you the batim is reliable, is a shamayim, he knows what he's doing. There's so many things that you need to know about the person that's giving you the tefillin. Otherwise, you will just buy from Israel or buy from a store. The store just takes from Israel. They don't check themselves. They just take from whoever sells them, and usually they try to save money. They try to buy whatever's the cheapest. Normally, I'm not saying all. And they're giving it to you, and you think it's something reliable. You wear it all your life, and could be that you never wore tefillin. So here's some of the issues that I'd like to discuss today. Over here is a bite that I received just a week or 2 ago, and you can clearly see all these parts, the white parts on the titura. All this white here is glue. All this over here, here. This is like looking at the x-ray. So you need to see the leather and differentiate the leather from the glue. What's the problem with the glue? The Mishnah Berurah writes that if you have glue or you have anything else besides the or itself, the leather itself, it's no good. This is how it's brought down also in few Sfarim, in W Chelek Aleph, Siman Aleph, Melechet Shamayim, Keset HaSofer, and I already mentioned the Mishnah Berurah, which means you're not allowed to have glue closing and forming the ribua, the squareness. So therefore this would be Pasul. See, this side doesn't have that problem. Why do they do that? Because after folding the leather, the or, many times there's space, and they don't know, or they too lazy to close it up correctly. So they put glue, and that's it. Then they paint it, and nobody knows about it, and you wear it like this all your life. Wonderful, and your tefillin are pasul. Here's another issue over here that I just received a couple of days ago. It's hard, a little bit harder to see, but over here, in the bottom of the bite, it's cracked. It's cracked. It's a little bit hard to see, but that's the bottom of the bite. So this over here, it's cut and cracked, and therefore such a thing would be pasul, not fixable, because that is the bottom at the corner. It's completely cracked over here, right here. Hard to see on the video, but that's what it is. Over here it is cracked and not kosher. So a person doesn't pay attention to this. He could wear this. He doesn't know the halachot. He doesn't know all that. He runs into those very simple issues that really needs to be paid attention to. Let's continue. Another issue over here. Here's another bite. Shel rosh. Looks fine. The only problem is, with time, it started bending on the bottom. So it's not a problem if it's bending. On the bottom, there's no din here that needs to be square. It could be bent. The problem is that once you have it this way, or bent, so the bend causes that this side of the front will be shorter than the side, and therefore you're lacking over here a ribua, squareness. And that is a much more of an issue with what we call Batim Dakot or Batim Pshutot, which are made out of leather that is much thinner, or Batim that are made with klafim that was just folded. And therefore, if you hear, since it's very thin, when you wear it, eventually it loses the squareness, it loses the ribua, and you don't even pay attention, you don't even know. It is also much more of an issue with people that wear the tefillin with wet hair. Here's another one that's also very thin, and also as they do, you wear them with a little bit wet hair, or you sweat during tefillah, and that starts bending. And when you measure it with a caliber, you see that the ribua have lost the shape, and therefore you're wearing tefillin that are not even kosher. So one needs to pay attention to that, or much better to buy batim that are gasot, thick like this, thick and not dakot, and therefore when you buy such a thing, you save yourself a lot of issues, a lot of problem. Now, when you have the batim, many times inside the compartments are not really part of the bite, which means after they finish doing a bite chitzon, this exterior part of the batim, just like the yad is made. The yad is made like that with an exterior part. After you finish doing that exterior part, what you do is what they do, what should not be done, is they put over here like pieces of leather to separate between them, but they're not part of the batim. And the Shulchan Aruch says that the batim should be visible. The separation of the batim should be visible from the outside, which means they need to go all the way, which means if you open this, you put a knife through the batim, they go through. But many times what they do is they just make like a yad, just an exterior part without compartments, 4 compartments, and they just put compartments inside, which is a problem and not kosher. Again, people would not know that. You pay top dollar, they tell you that tefillin is very meudar. You go to Israel, everything's good. But in reality, it could be that your tefillin are not kosher. Another issue that's much more common is the squareness on top. Many times when you buy cheap Batim, could be also with good Batim, but normally it happens with cheap Batim, it starts opening on top. Sometimes it comes already not square, since the Batim tend to open up, since they are put together. They started by being open, and they put together and held like this with a press, and afterwards they form to be very hard with time. But many times when they're not done correctly, or a person didn't wait enough time to harden them, they start opening, especially if a person has those cheaper batim. After a while they start opening because of the different weather that has an effect on the leather, or the way you wear them, or again if you wear them with wet hair, or you put mousse on your hair, or you sweat, then it starts over here on the bottom being, as we showed before, having like a slant, which causes the top to open up because there's a pressure. Many times you have a side, a corner that banged. Once a corner is banged, it depends how much, but if it's a nice amount, the corner lost its ribua, and therefore such a thing needs to be fixed. So those are things that one needs to pay attention to. Again, it's not necessarily something that one might know, because it's more for the professionals in the field. So therefore, the first thing you need to do when you buy tefillin, and today we're speaking about batim, but the first thing you need to do is go to somebody reliable that you trust, that you know that is going to do a good job. Just like anything else, when you go to a doctor, you don't just look for any doctor and you pick the closest to your house. No, you go and you research and you make sure that that he was recommended. Same thing here. You don't just go to a store and buy tefillin, give me tefillin, and the salesman tells you it's good, and he has a big yarmulke and a beard, and therefore it seems to be reliable. No, you have to know who you're buying it from. Definitely don't buy your tefillin from Eretz Israel, for things that I already warned many times. One thing is the fact that they know that Americans, they'll know you're American as soon as you open your mouth. They'll know you're American, or if somebody buying for you and he says such a thing, they know they'll never see you again, because tefillin that goes to America is very hard then, if there's a problem, to go back and look for the person in Israel. Therefore, they give you things many times, many times. I see this all the times. Things that are not kosher or hardly kosher. They get rid of it. It's sitting by them already for a while. Somebody they returned it, and in Eretz Israel they can't sell it because next week he'll be back angry at his shop. But when he knows he goes to America or to a different country, that's it. He got rid of it, and now you're stuck and you really don't know what to do with it. That's something that I see over and over and over again. That's first of all. Secondly, there's many sofrim in Eretz Israel that are not reliable. Many, because in Eretz Israel the safrut profession is very widespread. Every boy that doesn't become a Talmid Chacham and wants to stay in the field of Torah becomes a sofer. That's it. It's easy. He learns quickly the halachot. It doesn't have the same criteria as in America, that you have to know much more. The tests over here to become a sofer are much harder and much more thorough and have much more quantity and quality. Over there, there's many different establishments that you can get a certain teuda, a certain document that you're okay, and many even don't have documents at all, and you just do the job and they sell it. Especially if they sell it to America, things that end up in the stores over here, because again, the stores try to buy whatever would sell the quickest, and they'll make the most profitable, and therefore they buy things that are the cheapest, and those things almost always, I see it all the time, almost always come not ready to sell, not ready to put up on your wall, or if it's tefillin, not ready to wear, because it needs a guy, needs editing, and they don't do that. And therefore, when you end up with such a thing from a store, you end up saying brachot levatala every day. If it's tefillin, you end up not having the mitzvah of the tefillin. So those are things that one needs to pay attention to. Just so showed and demonstrated few things amongst hundreds and maybe thousands of problems that you could have in tefillin, just to get a little bit glimpse of an idea.